Adobe Acrobat Studio, so brand new. Show me all the things PDFs can do. Do your work with ease and speed. PDF Spaces is all you need. Do hours of research in an instant with key insights from an AI assistant. Pick a template with a click. Now your prezzo looks super slick. Close that deal? Yeah, you won. Do that, doing that, did that, done. Now you can do that with Acrobat. Now you can do that with the all-new Acrobat. It's time to do your best work with the all-new Adobe Acrobat Studio.
I had that dream again. My small business needs to hire, but I don't use LinkedIn, and I hire an energy vampire. But also they're a literal vampire. And suddenly my team is spending all their time sharpening wooden stakes and buying bulk silver and rehearsing ancient chants, and then I wake up.
Don't let hiring nightmares ruin your dreams. LinkedIn Jobs' new AI assistant takes insights from over 1 billion professionals to create a short list of the best fits for you. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/quality. Start hiring today with LinkedIn.
Año nuevo, los mismos Extra Value Meals en McDonald's. Ahora te puedes llevar 2 snack wraps y papitas y una bebida mediana por solo $8. Solo por tiempo limitado. Precios y participación pueden variar. Los precios pueden ser más altos en Hawái, Alaska y California y con entrega.
Welcome to No Question About That. We are on the whistle of Arsenal 1, United 1. United win on penalties with Daniel. How's it going?
Yes, nothing on earth, Edward. Nothing on earth.
Fine afternoon of Man Ewing that was. Yes. Bloody hell.
I loved that game because it just felt like so much of what's been missing over the last, not just year or whatever, but in a long, long time, where we see a proper game where United are digging in like that. And not only are they digging in, but also they obviously, with 1 or 2 exceptions, they show a bit of composure and a bit of quality as well. So in the second half of extra time, I actually thought we looked more likely to score than they did. Yeah,
Arsenal 30-something crosses today. I mean, I counted it as 38 just before the end, so it might have been a few more than that. Full-on David Moyes tactic, get it wide, try and lump the cross in or get a free kick or a corner. I mean, it's like, it feels like a ceiling to where Arsenal can go with that kind of approach. And obviously without Saka, they're down about 40% of their goals, aren't they? Not a lot from Arsenal, really.
They've got players who might get you a goal here and there, like Marino or Trossard or Havertz. They're not crap players, but without their best player, Saka and Odegaard, their other top level attacker doesn't really look fit. They're not players that are going to be able to carry a team. They're players that when the team's there, you can toss them on with 20 to go and they might nab you a winner, or they might get you a goal against a crap team at home. They're that kind of player, but that Trossard is maybe. But as someone who's going to be definitive regularly, without Saka, they don't have very much at all. And they did have chances. I mean, Havertz missed a couple that he should have taken, but it felt like the reason they were missed was also a facility of the number of bodies United had defending. So the one he misses that he slices, there are men everywhere. And if there's no one there, then he just takes his time and he sticks it away. But the way that United defended, it was excellent. And it was the kind of defending that De Ligt and Maguire specialise in. A box defending, throwing stuff in the way, getting headers, getting blocks. And I don't particularly think it's the kind of defending that's going to help this team going forward, but goodness me, it was welcome today.
Oh, for this game, yeah. I mean, absolutely. This is not the style of United performance that wins in the league or something like that. But for a game where they're under pressure with 10 men against Andy Madley's famous Arsenal for over an hour, that was absolutely brilliant from Maguire and De Ligt. I mean, epitomised by De Ligt's unbelievable clearance off the line, basically, when he makes the effort to get back and clear it. Have a double handball before he sliced it wide, by the way, not given as a foul, unbelievably. I mean, look, United are hero for winning this game and putting the effort in, and it was real sort of backs against the wall defensive defensive effort from them after the red card. But we can't not talk about the ref in this one, can we? I mean, he's made some unbelievable decisions in that game that just didn't seem to be balanced out over the full 120. I'm not saying he's on the payroll or anything like that, but some shockingly one-sided decisions.
I feel like I can see why the decisions that were made. And I wondered if maybe if we're talking particularly about the penalty, that usually I kind of feel like refs are more likely to not give them, and if it's necessary to give it, rely on VAR to save them. Without VAR to save him, I can see why he gave it. I mean, because first of all, Havertz definitely dived, but you can also have you can have a dive and a penalty. I think I wouldn't say that one necessarily outlaws the other, although I wouldn't object if someone rewrote the laws to say, actually, if we think you've dived and it's a foul, you're not having your penalty.
He's going early, isn't he? I mean, he's very early. He's anticipating the foul.
He is, and I mean, it was a bit impetuous from Harrence, I thought, because I don't think he was going to catch up with the ball, and Martinez was there also. He did put an arm out, though, and I see him doing it, and I've said in my head, fucking hell, Harrence. Because because you know what's going to happen. It doesn't make. I'm not saying it makes it any more of a penalty. The fact that he did it shouldn't have done it, but he gave the referee a decision to make where I felt like he could have not done that, and he did put an arm out. He did put an arm out to stop the run. And actually, I think probably if Havertz doesn't go early, it's much closer to an unarguable penalty. It didn't offend my understanding of football in giving that penalty, I would say.
Yeah, most of Madley's performance offended my understanding of refereeing, though. I mean, yeah, there was that one, and you can argue either way, but I think it's the aggregate that gets your goat after a while. It's Bruno not getting the foul and getting booked for throwing his boot on the ground twice. He did it twice.
The Bruno one, I mean, as he did it, it was so stupid that obviously the ref should have given the foul, but you've done your petulance, you've got away with it. What are you then trying to do when you know? Because it's getting to a point in the game. It got to a point in the game at half time where I'm thinking someone's going to go here, because the nature of the game, the way, especially once we score, the way the game's now going to be, we've got that many players on cards that someone's going to have to make a yellow card tackle at some point in order to preserve what we have. And it could well be one of the players who've been booked already. And so Bruno, he didn't have to. Obviously, he should have seen the foul. Obviously, you wonder, you didn't see that one, but you saw the penalty. Don't totally grasp that. But anyway, but Bruno chucking also like that, chucking the boot, it's crap. It's just like the reaction post the penalty. If someone gets booked for that, there's a very significant part of me that's saying, all right, that was necessary. That was like an assertion of you're not fucking with us. And that was extremely welcome. But the throwing the boot once and then twice is just so stupid.
I know it's stupid petulance and so
uncool.
And so uncool. Yeah, no, I totally get it.
Rob Huss's birthday too.
Well, he's had a few bookings in his time. Yeah, you wouldn't have been booked for that in the old days, of course. You were allowed to kick lumps out of each other.
I've also just looked at the date and it's the 12th. I thought today was the 11th. Brian Robson's birthday yesterday. Apologise, Captain.
You missed it, Daniel.
Sorry, Skip.
Dalot's first. I mean, it's a trip. It's soft. It's no worse than Jesus injuring himself trying to hack Bruno down. I don't know whether I feel good about that being given as a yellow or not, given how many fouls were in the game. He just seemed very, very keen to pull the card out all the time. And obviously United were totting up fouls, or Arsenal looking for it. They are very, very good at spending time on the floor as well. I mean, they are the reincarnation. Like for a man who studied under Pep Guardiola, he's the reincarnation of Diego Simeone, Arteta is, just with tighter trousers and more hair. This is not an impressive team. So.
The pussy Simeone, I like that.
I didn't have to say that. The
Dalot booking, it was quite weird because I looked away from my screen. Someone's talking to me in the house. And actually, that seems unlikely. But let's assume for a second someone wanted to do that. I didn't quite see it. And then the foul the first time. And then on the telly, they're saying, "Oh, that was a definite yellow card." And then I see the foul again, and I'm like, I can see why you've given it, but I think my problem with it is that should one of those plus another one of those equal you're not allowed to play anymore?
Yeah.
I don't think so. And there's no real solution because they both sort of are yellow card tackles in their way. You might get away with one, you might not. And the second one, I mean, once you got the first one, there was no way he was going to get out the second one. But A plus B shouldn't really equal C. And the only way is if you kind of have some kind of other card and give it. And people talk about that, or you have a sim bin or something. And it just feels like the other solutions will obfuscate a little bit too much. And I don't feel by the letter of the law, Dalot was let down or anything remotely like that. I just think that there's something wrong with the laws. I don't think that it's necessary to kick people off for that, keep people off the pitch for that.
I think that's the point, isn't it? I mean, the first one is quite soft, and quite soft plus slide in, be a bit late, means you no longer play. And the point about yellow cards and the increasing frequency of them was to stop dangerous tackles. Neither of those were dangerous in the slightest, right? And so United end up playing an hour without a player. In the end, it's worked out for us because we're all heroes as a result of it. But an hour without a player for what feels like something pretty marginal feels like too much of a penalty. Much in the way that almost every single foul and 98% of handballs in the box are too much of a penalty to get a penalty, get an 80% chance of scoring against you. So I don't know whether the balance is quite right there. You want the game to flow as well, and today it didn't at all because the whistle's going every 5 seconds.
There were a lot of fouls, so you are going to see the game not flow. I think with football, it's sort of, my complaint with all of these kinds of things usually will concern the severity of the punishment versus the severity of the offence. And yeah, the two yellows for Dalot were both arguable yellows, or even like definite yellows, but marginal yellows at the same time. So if we say there's like a big window of stuff that constitutes a yellow, they're much closer to not a yellow than to a red on the other side of it. But it's hard to complain. I mean, I'm sure all of us, more or less, as soon as we see him shaping to make the second tackle, we're going, don't do that, you idiots.
Yeah, for sure.
So when that happens, it's quite hard to say, well, actually, we were hard done by in some way because, I wouldn't say we were hard done by.
Yeah. I mean, after that, they jiggled it around a little bit. Obviously they jiggled the defence around, and so they remained in a sort of back five, made a lot of substitutions, did Amorim to try and keep things fresh, ended up with Martinez playing up front with an injury for the last 10 minutes of extra time, which was a sight. I thought they put Harrens up there, but
he was off by then, Harrens.
Yeah, he was. He wasn't even like Martinez wasn't fit. He was just kind of hobbling around, occupying space. I mean, they did a very good defensive job after that with the deep box defending. I mean, Arsenal had obviously a lot of pressure. I do think it played into our hands, though, because they go wide and try and put crosses in, and they weren't working their way through our back three, through the centre, right? So without Saka there, so much of their penetrative stuff disappears. I mean, he's created well over 100 chances for Arsenal this season, shot creating chances.
And what percentage is that? Do we know?
It's over 40. Yeah, I think it's over 40%. Yeah, he's the main man.
And then
when
also,
it comes to creativity.
if you think about that even when he doesn't create, the fact that he's there is creating space for the others because the opposition know that they need to probably have two men watching him because he's so much better than what's going on elsewhere. So, for sure. I mean, us getting to play them without him, also a stroke of luck, I guess. But we defended really well. I mean, I'd say that was maybe Harrens' best game for United, actually. Can't think of many better ones.
Yeah, I mean, it was excellent. Him and Dalot, who's come in for a fair amount of criticism for the mistakes. I do think he's, as I've said before, and not an original thought, he's exposed a bit more when he's playing in that right centre-back role because he ends up coming against players who are good at running with the ball more often than he'd like, I think. But deep defending, clearances, tackles, blocks, headers away, that is the Licton and Harry Maguire stuff, isn't it? It's the fast-moving forwards with space in behind that they both struggle with, I'd say. But today was perfect for them. They defended really well. And so did Lisandro Martinez. He did a lot of the dirty work that he needs to do. for a player who's not had a good season, really.
Yeah, he's been much better the last few weeks, apart from Newcastle. Managed to get himself booked. Another one he managed to get himself booked early in the game, which had me thinking someone's getting sent off here. But yeah, he's been much better. Great penalty. And also just, I think he's the kind of character that keeps everyone focused, because you don't want to make a mistake with him next to you, because he looks nasty and he'll let you know. And I think we've kind of lacked a bit of that, a bit of accountability. People that are going to, like, accountability is going to be right there on the pitch and it's going to be immediate. But so there's a kind of the fear of making the mistake that you better not do it, but also the fact that there's someone who will be cajoling you. Luke Shaw's best run of form for United came next to Martinez. I'm absolutely certain that isn't a coincidence, because you want these kinds of players that are going to make sure that they're going to keep everyone else honest, to make sure that everyone else is doing what they're meant to be doing. And in that particular kind of defense as well, you need to make sure that that's what's going on. And again, like, it's not the way we play today, it's not sustainable, but everything else about the way we play today is sustainable. The manner of the way that we played, the enterprise, like, there was some decent enterprise going forward. Even still, we obviously need more quality. We need to start being able to dictate games more, and we will need to start dictating games against teams like Arsenal too.
For sure.
I think Arsenal and Liverpool, both of the teams we played recently, aren't that good. They've both got two or three really maybe 3-4 outstanding players, but the rest of them aren't any better than the players that we've got, or massively better than the players that we've got, really.
I mean, some of United's challenges with obviously the defensive side of things today was excellent and hugely praiseworthy, and they all come out looking like heroes as a result. The attacking side struggled to get it out of the back, like into midfield, and play through the thirds, and ended up going back to the keeper and long all the time. And Bayindir is not great with his feet. He wasn't great with his hands until after the red card, but then he was amazing.
Sub-Bosnich performance with the feet, and I thought that it couldn't get worse than Bosnich, but goodness me. The thing about going long ultimately is that I think that it felt like they decided they were going to do that, because they had Maguire and De Ligt, both of whom were a bit slow to turn and on the half turn. And then you've got the keeper who's not that good with his feet either, which I don't really understand why Ten Hag bought him, given that he bought another because he was good with his feet. Did he think he needed to balance it by having a guy who's shit with his feet? And then you've got good balance choice of keepers. I don't know. But it felt like a strange signing.
The reference to Mark Bosnich reminds me, I have an anecdote I will tell you off air, because it is definitely not good. One for public consumption. But yeah, Bayindir, I don't rate him much, but honestly, after the red card, he did nothing wrong. I mean, 2 penalty saves, a number of, let's say, messy attempts to clear the ball, but getting it out somewhere, and some excellent saves as well.
Dodgy keepers save penalties.
Yeah, dodgy keepers save penalties.
Before, and I'll say it again, dodgy keepers save penalties. Bartes, Dudek, Ricardo.
Yeah.
The dodgy keepers save penalties. Schmeichel, crap at saving penalties.
Could have done with him in that Europa League final, couldn't we?
Gdansk. That's it. That was what was missing.
To dive out the way 12 times in a row, yeah. Yeah. By the way, I mean, before we we'll get onto the penalties in detail, but Raya managed to do a Dave and dive out the way of all of them really, really early, made it very easy. But United going forward, I mean, part of the problem was Højlund spent that entire game fighting with the central defenders, and almost none of the game making his own space and getting into the channels or trying to pull defenders out the way. And it's a frustration that has been a frustration for a long time with him. And I just, it can't be something that's not coachable, right? They've got to be able to go, okay, fighting against two big, strong, excellent defenders in Gabriel and Saliba, you're not going to win that one, right? Although, when Josh Zirkzee came on, held the ball up much better. There's not much to his game, but he actually really did hold the ball up pretty well.
He's harder to circumnavigate. There's so much of Zirkzee.
Big ass,
you've got we've seen it with those of Mark Hughes. Also, you've got to go around them, and that makes it much harder. I mean, he's also obviously got a much better touch than Højlund. Although I think Højlund's link-up is improving. But yeah, I thought Zirkzee did well when he came on. And the problem with, we weren't showing enough composure. There was one moment, I think it was the beginning of the second half maybe, where we win the ball high, and within about 4 passes, it's back from the goalkeeper.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
part of that is a mentality thing in that they're so busy trying to stay in this game, and that's what the instructions were. Sometimes that overrides the ability to be spontaneous because you're thinking, well, the instructions of this. Whereas I'm sure Amorim wouldn't have wanted it to go like that, but I'm sure the fact that it did go like that was kind of a facility almost of the misinterpretation of what he would have wanted in that position, that they're just being careful not to give anything silly away because we've seen them do that a lot. And so we can be sympathetic, I think, on this occasion, because not just because it worked out well, but because they matched that level of commitment. Because I guess the commitment in sticking to the plan and not giving away anything silly, they matched that in effort and discipline and focus. So you can say, okay, fine. And not really even because they got a result. Because if they'd have lost that game on penalties, or if they'd have lost that game 2-1 to a late goal, I think we'd still feel quite positive about the way United performed today.
Well, of course, absolutely. If they'd lost that on penalties, they'd have gone down fighting. I mean, for sure. Like, no doubts about the commitment or the effort or the focus at all today. Let's talk a little bit about United's goal, because that was a piece of excellent play from. We've given Garnacho a lot of criticism for his decision-making and his thought processes in attacking areas, but he won the ball, he ran into space, he picked out the right pass, and that was a truly brilliant side-footed finish from Bruno. I mean, excellent goal all round, and Garnacho did everything to make it.
Even before Garnacho, Dalot wins a massive header. And Garnacho, you can see as he's running with the ball, he has a look, then he has another look. And that's kind of sometimes what we don't see from him, where he decides what he's going to do. And I've said this before as a strength, decides what he's going to do and he commits to it. But I think from that position, it felt like you're not going to score yourself from it. You have to do something that results in a shot because we're not getting that many opportunities. And while we're talking about that, also like hold tight Højlund, because his run takes Timber away. And he knows he's not getting the ball, I think, but makes a run that gets rid of a man, and that opens more of the space for Bruno. And what I like really also about the pass is that it was the weight of it, that it wasn't like a dribbling pass just to sort of get it towards him. He took the risk of playing it with power so that it would arrive to Bruno at the perfect speed for him to be able to hit that finish, the finish that Garnacho knew he would want to hit into that far side netting.
Well, quite.
So, yeah,
it wasn't the Josh Stacey pass to Harry Maguire last weekend. It was it which bobbled around for Harry to sky one. So, yeah, that's how you do a side foot finish. Harry, note to self. Yeah,
I mean, it was a brilliant finish, and again, it blows my mind that there are people that don't think this guy's a good player.
Everything about him is excellent. I just ignore the online narrative and just end up muting people who are being idiots about him. Yeah, absolutely perfect. I was, alongside celebrating, going, hey, don't jump into the crowd or do anything silly, because he was on the booking at that point, Bruno, for chucking his boot into the ground a couple of times. 8,000 United fans loving every minute of that. Too right as well. It was a really excellent moment for United at the clock end. The new clock end, not the real clock end, of course.
Yes, back to the clock end. I could not believe the state of that ground when I went there the first time United played there, that you got rid of Highbury for this.
For this, yeah. It's horrendous, Emirates, yeah.
And I'm not just saying that because it's a plastic ground with no soul, because obviously that's to be expected. But it's, I would say, probably the worst of the new grounds, and just it's shallow rather than steep. It's round.
Yeah.
You're not close to the pitch. It's one of those. There's nothing good about it. And then they've got this North London Forever song that they play now.
Oh, God.
Indubitably one of the cringiest ass things in football.
Fuck me. I mean, this is brand new, and it's like some kind of tradition. They sit there in silence because no one knows the words.
Get ourselves some You'll Never Walk Alone.
Fucking hell, yeah. It's absolutely dreadful. I think I talked about this with Wayne. I've been posting clips on TikTok, which quite a few, surprising number of people watch, and no one ever comments on. I know Jen's heading it. Don't really understand it, obviously.
That's so peak and skibbity.
Check out my aura points. The one time I ever got any comments on TikTok is when I posted a comment about that fucking awful song, and it got flooded by Arsenal fans who online seem to find it all the time. They search for themselves, I think. But yeah, anyway, that's dreadful. It's an awful time. It's an awful ground. And like, not just because it's modern, as you say, you can make modern stadiums right, but has zero atmosphere in it, and it's just a concrete bowl. And like, notes to Sir Jim, if we finance a new stadium at United, don't make it like that. Don't make it another replica Wembley or replica Emirates. You got to think about how you generate and create the atmosphere. It's really important.
Yeah, I think United, if they're going to do it, they will be getting in the people that made Spurs ground, probably that being one of the better efforts. I'm sure that it won't be like that.
Yeah, it's Spurs ground. The thing is, I mean, it does generate an atmosphere, but if you watch any of the games there, like 80% of the crowd have their phone out recording the game all the time. I mean, it's a phenomenon of modern life, I know.
And also, it's not just that. If you think about White Hart Lane, it's twice as big. So you're getting in almost a whole White Hart Lane.
Yeah.
Again, it's going to be, it's not people that have grown up going to White Hart Lane in the same way and have learned how to behave at football from going to those games. It'd be different people, and people act in different ways, I guess. And I think one of the things about Spurs is the tier 2 seats are not near the ground, but it's a much better rendition of what a football ground should be than Arsenal. So there is that. But what I want to say also was that after the United goal, in fairness to Arsenal, that did wake them up, and they did put it on us immediately after that. And that was really the only time I felt like we struggled a bit. We struggled to get out and felt like the K was coming. And they managed to build up a head of steam. But other than that, like, they did make a couple of chances, but it felt like we handled the set pieces pretty well. And actually, we kind of think, well, why were we not capable of doing this before? And then you actually think, well, they've had a week's training here. Yeah. And I'm not going to get over eager to credit the manager's coaching for the last 2 results, but it's not very large sample size to be, it's a large enough sample size to be statistically significant. But it is worth noting that we produced these 2 organised, disciplined performances when the manager's had time to coach. I still think, I said this on the midweek pod, and I'm going to say it again, that his biggest mistake and the biggest difference that we're seeing now is he knows what the first team is. And I say the biggest mistake was, it was obvious more or less what the first team was going to be from the beginning. So actually, it always felt like he should have been picking.
Did he need all the changes?
Yeah, like, sure, like, give this one a chance and that one a chance, but don't change 5. If you change 5-6 players every game, a team that's on its arse trying to play a new formation that you're not coaching, it's going to look like what it looked like. Now that he's playing the best players in their positions and he's having time to coach, it looks like a football team.
Yeah, on the set pieces, they put Højlund on Saliba, and I think that made a big difference. He's obviously the big danger there, and he was there to fight with him because he's the man who runs from the back post to the keeper to block the keeper from moving. And so they'd spotted that, and they just tried to disrupt it. At one point, Andy Madley got involved, Arsenal's number 12, and tried to stop Højlund from doing it. But like, I don't know why that's a foul and blocking the keeper isn't. Like, it's the same thing, right? He's blocking Saliba, but apparently you're allowed to do it to the United keeper. But yeah, they were just much more physical.
Yeah, I do have some sympathy here in that when the ball goes into the box at a corner, you don't want it to be a penalty every time, right? But when you've got 15 enormous athletes charging about with intensity, it's in that tiny space, it's impossible for it not to get physical like that. And do you want it to be not even a penalty, a foul or a goal foul to the keeper or whoever every time without a bit of leeway? Because it feels like if you didn't allow a bit of leeway, there'd almost never be a corner that actually was actually a corner, because there'll always be an infringement of some sort.
Yeah, but I think Arsenal are exploiting that thing. So, I mean, the whole point about what they do at corners and free kicks is, I mean, excellent delivery from Saka, who wasn't there today, and Rice, typically. I mean, that's a big part of it, of course, because they both bizz the ball in with pace. But also, they are very physical, and they make those tactical fouls, and they block people off, and they push. And, I mean, we saw last weekend against Brighton, Arsenal shoving Brighton players so they'd be onside. We saw against Newcastle when they lost in midweek, like so many off-the-ball tactical fouls. So it is part of their plan. I mean, part of their plan is to be physical and push it to the very edge, because what's the worst that can happen in that situation? A foul gets called against them when referees are kind of reluctant to do that. It's not like they're going to give away a penalty, right? The penalty for doing the foul in the attacking box is much less than the other way around.
Right, I agree. Because ultimately, if you do that 10 times in a game, you get penalised 9 times and you score once, you take it.
Yeah.
Agree.
Absolutely. Whereas on the defensive side, you're giving away 9 penalties or something. So,
talking of Rice, what is going on with that Barnet of his? Have you seen? It's like dead short, like at the bottom, where the bottom of the hair meets the neck. And then also just above the sideboards, he's got this kind of, it's almost like Edmund Blackadder from Blackadder the First. I don't know, but... And then I remembered that he was from South London. And then I remembered that when I was in Ghana, I got chatting to a guy at the bar who asked me to get his drink. And so I said, fine. I said, what do you want? And he said, I'll have a Hennessy and apple juice. Is that what you're doing in South London now? And
apparently
it was. I know.
Rice's haircut looks like he did it himself and got it a bit wrong and just kept like creeping up a little bit, And it's like, Gary Neville did that once when they got the sideburns wrong. It was like up here.
Well, when you keep chasing them up your head, when you think, I've done it, they're not level.
It's Neville, keep going up. Yeah, he's definitely done that. Shocking. But, Lisandro Martinez gone equally bad. He's gone shaved at the sides and mullet at the back. Not having that for a moment. But there you go. I don't want to moan about haircuts because we get into, oh, look, he's having a haircut on social media territory, which...
or our own.
Apparently not allowed. But yeah, look, we talked about ceilings, because there's definitely a ceiling to where United could go playing like that. And they did what they had to in this game. That's obviously not going to take them very far up the table if they have to do that every week, which they won't, clearly, against Southampton next week or Thursday night. But I think there's a ceiling to Arsenal as well. This is why they haven't won the league. They've come close, but when it really comes down to it, I think that kind of those tactics, running into the corner, trying to win free kicks and set pieces, it just doesn't get you. They open up teams enough. They didn't open up United enough today.
I semi-agree with that. I would say that I feel like the reliance on set pieces is more a this season thing. But last season, they had quite a few games, not loads, but 3 or 4, maybe 5 in the league where they don't score. And I think that what they're missing is they don't have enough top-level attackers that can get you something and win you a game that you're not otherwise going to win. If you think about the United teams that won stuff, they'd have 3 or 4 players on the pitch always who were that good, and then a couple of others on the bench who just knew where the goal was or whatever. And Arsenal do not have that. And they've got the defence right, but the problem that they have now is that they don't want to be reliant on set pieces. It's just that they've got a lack of ideas and imagination and quality is forcing them to rely on set pieces for their wins. And I found it weird also, there was complaining about time wasting. And then every time they get a corner, it takes 10 minutes to get going again. Sorry, left a bit, right a bit. You just, no. Yeah.
They can't have any complaints. It feels like time wasting from the first minute of the game. I mean, it's sometimes it's deliberate time wasting, but they also take a very long time over. I think I'm right in saying that aren't they one of the teams with, if not the lowest, then one of the lowest in time in play ball times in the Premier League? They're down at less than 50 minutes on average, and but it's part of their game plan. I mean, this is. To the point where you, not to sound all top red about this, but to the point you're they're practicing this, aren't they? They have training sessions where it's how do we waste time? How do we eat up a lot of time?
I respect the way that they're dealing with set pieces. I think every team should do this. And I've been whinging about this for years. Why can't you just get good at taking corners? And I respect the fact that they're good at it. But yeah, they have become overly reliant on it. And I think part of the time wasting is like a dramatic ploy almost, where they know that their fans are ready for them to try and score, and they know that the opposition know it as well. And the longer it takes, it builds the anticipation and puts unlike with a penalty where the taker's the only person under pressure, it puts the opposition under pressure the longer it goes. And I don't think that they're necessarily trying to waste time. I do think that they're trying to up the ante by increasing the pressure on the opposition. And if you marry that to just they're trying to get it right, that they've got a guy telling them how to do it, he's precise, but they're trying to be precise. And it does take a long time, so that when other teams take a long time, it doesn't feel like they've got anything to complain about, really.
Well, quite. It's become a bit panto. Like, he's behind you, and they're like, all the crowd get up for it. They've got this chant they do when they get a corner as well. It's just like feels very small time, but it's part of their makeup and plan, and they do it very well. So fair enough. And United countered it. They didn't quite go. They were bringing everyone back for the free kicks and corners, United, whereas Brighton last week when they played Arsenal put 3 men up front, which is like a brave way of doing it, because you then control the space a little bit more, I think, and because it forces Arsenal to pull 3 men back. So suddenly you've got 6 men fewer in the box, and it's like individual duels rather than systemic. And they did it very well. United didn't do that. They trusted in like the physical duels and did it pretty well for the most part.
Making it messy, basically. That it's quite hard to get anything done if it's crowded.
All right. Well, down to the pens then, after like 120 minutes of fighting.
Yeah, on which point, sorry, can we just go back to the first penalty? The fighting that took place after that was extremely heartwarming.
Well, that's great. I mean, United were fully in there. Havertz dived again for the second time, fell on the floor. Like, he tried to provoke Martinez into a headbutt because he was putting a head in, and Martinez just stood there, and Havertz goes down, rolling around. Fucking pathetic fuck that he is. That great analysis there, Edge. But yeah. Yeah, I mean, I thought it was absolutely pathetic, but I like to see United and Arsenal in a good ruck. None better than, well, there was Pizzagate, but the best one ever was 88 or 89, was it? With Winterburn and Keown and McClare.
1991, that one.
1990 was 91.
Arsenal in the league anyway.
Yeah.
But I mean, the seeds were sown when McClare smashes a penalty over the bar in the 87 Cup game just at the end, and Winterburn's
that's what I'm thinking about.
They're walking back as they're about to go again. So then McClare finally gets his opportunity, and even Def Servan gets involved. I mean, it's beautiful stuff. But
that is so booted one of them into the crowd. It was brilliant.
Yeah, but the ruckus actually starts even before that. Now, on reflection, is when United beat them in 86, 87, us on top of the league. And then Norm kicks them off the pitch. United win 2-0, and Terry Gibson scores his only United goal. And United's tackles that day are actually on YouTube. Rob Smythe compiled them kindly for anyone that wants to go and see them. They are amazing. Nice. And there's one when Norm is just going around smashing everyone, and O'Leary can't believe what he's seeing. It's just like that. And they're like, how's he allowed to do this? And when I think of Norm in those kind of situations, I remember a story that in Andy Mitten's 1980s United book, where they make players, when they join the squad, have to sing a song in front of everyone. So Gary Bailey says to Norm, you're going to sing a song. And Norm says, I'm not doing it. And Gary Bailey says, yes, you are. Norm says, no, I'm not. And Gary Bailey says, everyone does it. And no, you have to do it or there'll be trouble. And Norm says, I grew up on the Shank Hill Road, Gary. Do you think I'm scared of you?
Yeah, perfect. Safa Gary Bailey, yeah. I mean, there have been some great fights over the years. I mean, the 91, Pizzagate with Fabregas and Fergie. And, I mean, obviously we lost the 2005 final, but there was plenty of ruckus in that one too.
Even the Charity Shield, there's a Charity Shield at Cardiff. I think that the fouls for that are there as well, and they're definitely on United Rewind, where just watching that thinking, imagine trying to ref this. They're just kicking 7 shades of shit at each other. But,
and there's the one where the Neville brothers take it to Jose Antonio Reyes and kick the shit out of him for the full 90. That was great as well.
Yeah, the 04 semi. Heartwarming, as I said.
Good stuff.
But yeah, United's penalties were all excellent.
All excellent. I mean, Lenny Yoro, he started to beat on the pitch, cool as you like, right into the side netting. Diallo smashes one in. Martinez with the roll. Raya went way too early for that one. If he just stood still, he could have kicked it away.
Right, but it wouldn't have gone
way
there.
Too early.
It went there because he went so early that literally all he had to do was roll it somewhere into the net. But I've said this before, I think, but players are getting better at penalties now.
Yeah, I don't know. Have you seen any data on it? But it feels like they are. Yeah.
I haven't, but just from I watch enough football to see I'm watching way more that go beyond 5. and way more where one team scores them all. And because all defenders can do it now, that almost have got enough of a touch, enough confidence on the ball to take a penalty. And you're watching United's players come forward and half by brute, and you just feel like they're all going to score. I don't think like any of these guys are going to miss. And it's the same against Coventry. I know we did miss one against Coventry, but you just feel like under pressure, they've all got enough technique so that they won't get nervous and that they won't smash it over the bar or bottle it with just take like a kind of easy penalty, the kind that the keeper might save. But
Yeah.
when Bayindir saved his 2 penalties, at the time, first go, I thought these weren't good penalties, but then you see him again, and they're not great
Right in
penalties,
corner.
obviously, but they're not dreadful. They're brilliant saves, both of them.
Yeah. Strong hand, both times, both to the same side. So, yeah, I mean, after the red card, he did everything right, basically, Bayindir. I mean, he's not long for this club. I'm sure he'll move on because I don't suppose he really wants to be a second choice, and it doesn't look like he's going to challenge Onana for the regular spot, although Onana's done quite a lot in recent games to try and challenge himself for the regular spot in the side. But yeah, 2 excellent saves, 5 excellent penalties for United. We move on. When's the draw? Are we missing it while we're recording? Not sure.
I think we are actually, and it's being done by Martin Keown, which is delicious. What ball
Awesome,
number of
yeah.
Arsenal, Martin?
Yeah, the missing link is Martin Keown. Although there was no missing link, really. I mean, one time, of course, anthropologists thought that we went from Neanderthal to human, but they were side by side, and Martin Keown certainly has a lot of Neanderthal DNA in there. Little shit he is. He was at the ground today watching. The camera focused on him a couple of times. So, but it'd be nice for United to have a home draw this time, because we had a few aways after 14 at home in a row.
We've got one.
Nice.
We're at home to Leicester.
Very good.
You can. I bet money leaving accounts immediately. I bet Big Uncle Sir Jim is delighted at that. I wonder if he'll put the prices up.
That would, no doubt. No doubt. Leicester fans, they don't have the cap in the FA Cup, do they? So Leicester fans will be paying 96 quid a go for their ticket, no doubt. They'll force Rude to buy a ticket to come and coach the opposition. Yeah, it'd be nice to welcome Rude back for that one, won't it?
Yeah, very nice. I mean, that's a pretty kind draw, really. Like, looking at it, I'm just looking at the draw now, and Villa against Tottenham, but otherwise, all the teams that you think might win it will be in the next round. Brighton against Chelsea, I guess that looks like a tough draw for Chelsea. So, yeah, we need to be trying to win this, and I think that he's sort of tossed the league up for the manager, but yeah, we're trying to win this one, and so we should. I mean, we hold it, and it's also just a massive part of football, massive part of United's history.
That's part
And
of the
so
history.
for him to-
It's a route into the Conference League, I think. So if we really wanted to be in that pile of trash, but of course the Europa. Yeah, maybe we don't. I mean, the Europa League being the big one for Champions League qualification, I guess. No, it's really important. It was great last year. There's plenty of history with United in the FA Cup, obviously. I mean, there was a big gap between 2004 and 2016, which was unfortunate.
I mean, if it's any consolation, Rio Ferdinand never got to win it. So there is that.
Qatar's Rio Ferdinand, or is he Riyadh's Rio Ferdinand these days? I forget which one's paying him. Slanderous stuff, Edward.
Well, he definitely seemed to be very pro-Qatar during the takeover process.
He really did, and he kept announcing exclusives as he was getting off the tube, which was very odd.
The news hound.
Yeah. All right, well, there's game on Thursday against Southampton. Thursday night. Bottom team in the Premier League. I mean, they'll juggle it around again, won't he, Amorim, I guess, see who's fit. It would be nice to find a way for Lenny Yoro to get in the team.
I was just about to say that. I think he'll play that one.
Well, especially since Harry came off.
It was also nice to see Garnacho get a start, because the fact that Rashford isn't getting one, it tells us that you have to earn them. We know he's a good player. We know he doesn't quite fit the system, but the manager's been really clear that the system can be adapted to fit players that deserve to be in it. Whether that's true or not, we don't know, but it felt like he was playing a bit wider and he was finding space. And actually the problem he had was more support than whether he could get involved in the game or not. So it would be a shame for him to not make it at United. if we got a massive offer for him or an offer that we thought was worth taking, you can see why they'd think about it to get someone who suits it more. But it's also nice to have slightly different players that can fit the same system, because it then gives you different options for different opponents.
I think that's right. I mean, my general feeling on Garnacho is he's still got a lot of development to do. I mean, the goal today was a sign of that development, I hope. I mean, he did everything right there. Wins the ball, carries the ball, finds the man, plays the pass at the right time and all of that. But that's his weakness, especially in an Amorim system where you have to be a little more intelligent in those sort of wide 10 roles. They're not pure wingers. But yeah, the flexibility and the style of player that can fit into this system, and he's got a chance. On selling him, a lot of talk this week about Garnacho and Kobbie Mainoo. They both got long-term contracts. I mean, neither of them are out of contract anytime soon, with options as well. So it should rightly take a very large bid, because it's very reductive to say who you're going to buy that's better, but to buy high quality or higher quality is going to cost a lot of money. So there has to be a lot of money coming in order to make that trade-off, right? And you're also taking a risk, because there's no guarantee that you get it right, or the player fits, or it works out for them, or any of that, right? So I'd bet on, if I was United, I'd rather bet on Amorim coaching Garnacho to be the player he wants and to help him develop to the ceiling we think he's got, than binning him off and bringing another player in and starting again.
Especially if you say that the two first choices are Bruno and Ahmad anyway. So what you'd actually be doing is, yes, replacing him with someone who wasn't probably going to be first choice. So yeah, I'm inclined to agree. I like someone who can give you as much off the bench as Garnacho and give you stuff starting is someone. Yeah, I wouldn't easily throw him away. That's for sure.
No, and I mean, I know United are in a position because of historic spending and reduced revenues, not being in the Champions League, that the likelihood is they have to do some smart trading this summer. I mean, because PSR works on a 3-year cycle, you can play the game over a long period of time. You just can't keep making bad acquisition decisions, which United have done. That's why we're in, alongside not being very successful, making a lot of bad purchases is why United are in the financial trouble. Yeah. I mean, it's a perfect storm of shite, isn't it? So you have to get 80% of them or 90% of the purchases right, and then you're in a much better position. So likelihood is, I mean, United could spend, because they guided 150 million EBITDA. It might be less than not in the Champions League. There's discounts, obviously, on the sponsorship contracts. There's also discounts on wages, because the wage bill has come down quite significantly over the last 3 years. But they're going to probably have to be quite smart about how they sell. The likelihood is that if Marcus goes, whether it's this winter or in the summer, and Casemiro likely goes as well, if they can find someone to take him, Victor Lindelof's out of contract, Tom Heaton's out of contract, they're making a lot of savings.
That's suddenly quite a lot of money, yeah.
It's a really substantial amount of money.
You would expect us to be able to do some proper damage in the summer. And whether we get the right players or not, who knows? But it feels like we'd be getting some players in, like a proper number of players, something close to what we might need.
Right, and it seems like they've jiggled around the executive positions a little bit with Ashworth leaving. Jason Wilcox has taken over more of that responsibility. It looks like they'll sign Christian Vivell up to a long-term contract, so he's been temporary director of recruitment. They seem to like the work he's doing there. Darren Fletcher will have more of a role in the pathway development, take some of the load off Wilcox. So I have no idea really if these people are any good, or are they going to make the right decisions, or are they going to restrain Big Jim from getting involved in football stuff, which clearly he shouldn't be. But they have to do the smart stuff. That's the only way they're going to improve, alongside the coaching, which we hope is good and going to take these players into being in a better place. I mean, we've got some evidence in the last 2 weeks, little bits we're holding on to, rather than a big glaring neon sign that we're suddenly good again, but it's something.
And yeah, we'll see. We've got the Southampton game coming, and that's a very different kind of game, and we'll need to see the same intensity. But the players know that these last 2 games it's a line in the sand. If you drop below there, everyone's going to see it and everyone's going to know, and the manager won't pick you.
Yeah, 3 home games in a row now. Southampton, Brighton, Rangers, all in a row. very different games. Challenging, I guess the Brighton one is, but the other two, absolutely United should boss these and win them. I mean, it's not a good Rangers side. This is a pretty dreadful Southampton side with a new manager who I can't say I know loads about, Pereira, but games you've got to win. United mid-table, desperately needing the points in what is still a tight league. You know, there's still the opportunity in the league to qualify for Europe, but that doesn't seem likely given how inconsistent they are. But yeah, it's opportunity.
What we need to see, I think, because the next improvement is, because we know that we can have more possession against the less good teams. We've seen that. It's the ability to put them on the rack and sustain attacks and create chances. And that's the next thing. We know that we can create chances on the counter.
Yeah, absolutely. Pretty good on the counter. They haven't scored that many goals this season. I think it's 4 or 5.
But we know that we know that we have the players to create in that way.
Yeah.
But against teams that play slightly differently, we're not as effective. And as we improve, we're going to play more of those kinds of games. And that's something that's sort of the next level of development. Let's say for a second that we more or less sorted out the defending and we've more or less sorted out the intensity and the focus. The next thing is more aggression. I mean, the manager said it before the game that one of the things they practiced was attacking with more intent, more aggression. I think aggression is the word you use. So he knows it's got to be done. And that's the next improvement that we should hope for.
All right, that's a good point to finish, I think. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, listeners. Glad to have you on board, or viewers if you're on YouTube. You can catch us also on Patreon, patreon.com/NQATpod for our bonus show. Tactics show, which will come up on Monday, plus a bonus we'll do during the week at some point. Merch for those who really, really love us. And I know I owe a few people some mugs. All right. Thanks a lot. Bye now.
See you, everyone.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.